BLUELOCK's PXG game is about to wrap up, and with that comes the end of the Neo Egoist League. With only a few chapters left of the PXG game, everyone's wondering who will score the final goal and how will they do it. But with an important character, Alexis Ness, returning to the game, I think there is a huge chance for our boy Isagi Yoichi will use him to help himself score the final goal and win the game. So how exactly will Isagi use Ness for the finale of the game? What is happening to Ness right now, and how will he develop for the rest of this match, because he's being built up to get the spotlight once more? I'm gonna be answering all of that and more as I give my theory on both of these characters for the finale of the game, and how it will result in Isagi scoring the final goal and winning the Neo Egoist League. Alright, we first have to quickly cover chapter 289, the most recent and important chapter for this theory, because this chapter revealed a lot. Chapter 289 starts off with Yukimiya subbing into the pitch and almost immediately scoring a goal, saying that Isagi is the one who taught him how to use his ego. This does get blocked by Charles though, and the missed shot lands directly to Isagi, who finds out his best move is to pass to Ness, the person behind him. Now, it's important context to know Ness has kind of been down in the dumps, a D1 crash out at the moment, because Kaiser disowned him earlier in the match. So Ness has really just been a snowman ever since then, standing there and doing nothing. And as Ness receives the ball and Isagi activates his Super Saiyan mode, expecting a pass back from Ness, he instead tries to immediately look for Kaiser. It backfires on him though, as he hesitates and Karasu is able to tackle the ball out. Now, I don't want to be that guy, but bro, he literally just said he don't want you. Ness is like that one friend who misses their ex, and everyone seems to think so too, with Kaiser getting mad and Isagi calling him useless. An important part of the chapter though is Yukimiya talking about Ness, saying that he's being left behind by his environment and social connections, and how it feels like he's looking at an old version of himself. He calls Ness a cancer cell, killing the team's growth. I just gotta say, that's absolutely crazy. Being compared to a cancer cell gotta be a new low. Ness went from the heart of Bastard Munich to a cancer cell killing the team. And to top it all off, Kaiser hits Ness with the trash talk straight out of Marvel Rivals, telling him to give up on football. Ness looks like he's seen a ghost at this point, and that's where the chapter ends, so we're left wondering what's gonna happen next. Now, I think there is a few important things from this chapter. First of all, with Ness getting all of this highlight of being useless, he is bound to get some more development or an awakening so that he doesn't stay useless. He's kind of been a stagnant character for the past few chapters, if not past few games, so he'll definitely play a key role here. What that key role is though is what we're trying to figure out. And I personally think Isagi has a huge role in awakening Ness and his ego specifically. If we remember Ness's character and backstory, it's all about finding a quote-unquote magic and avoiding his family scientist background. It also gave us this great panel. His whole character was about searching for magic, and eventually he found that in football, and specifically Kaiser. In reality though, Ness was confusing his magic or ego with Kaiser. And it makes sense since Kaiser was the one who reached out to him at his lowest, saying that his ideas or magic will become possible with him. So I wouldn't necessarily blame Ness for only looking at Kaiser. He is a D1 Glazer, but Kaiser definitely manipulated him here. I mean, he researched books on it, but now that Kaiser left Ness, he's absolutely useless, as we found out in the most recent chapter. But an important thing to note was Isagi at the end of the chapter gave one more look at Ness, and the puzzle pieces started to flow in. Now, I think what this panel means is Isagi is starting to understand why Ness is being useless right now, when back then he was still kind of useless, but not as useless as right now, and that directly relates to Ness's ego. When Kaiser broke up with Ness, Isagi was actually there and overheard this conversation. He knows that Kaiser is continuously crushing Ness, telling him to give up on football or that he doesn't need him, and with Ness's reaction like this, Isagi figured out that Ness and his ego was relying on Kaiser. Now, that's pretty obvious as a reader, but Isagi probably figured that out now. Again, this makes sense with what we talked about earlier. Ness and his ego searching for magic, Isagi being there, and hearing Kaiser say all of these things. And since Isagi noticed that Ness's ego was reliant on Kaiser, and Kaiser abandoned him, he's gonna be able to swoop in and quote-unquote save Ness now. This is exactly what he did with Yukimiya in the Manshine game, and we know that Yukimiya said that him and Ness were similar just from this chapter. This makes sense specifically for this game because throughout the PXG match, we have had 2 common occurrences for literally everyone, and that's returning to 0, which we know is the quote-unquote original ego, just like how Kaiser, Isagi, and Rin did. And the next thing being Isagi is the one bringing out his opponents or teammates' egos, just like how he did with Yukimiya, Kaiser, and Rin. So going back to Ness, his ego was all about believing in the magic of football, but since he was so fixated on Kaiser, he correlated magic with Kaiser. But if Ness was able to start from 0, just like the common theme in this match, he'll reawaken that magic wizard magician ego, which started his football journey in the first place. And just like how Isagi awakened everyone else in this match, Isagi again will be the one to awaken him, by this time believing in Ness. Now this is where the theory all ties together. Isagi is basically doing the opposite of Kaiser, who was manipulating Ness to believe in him instead. This time around though, Isagi is gonna have Ness believe in himself, his own skills and magic, reawakening his ego. Remember, this is the second point I made about Isagi, how he brings out his opponents or teammates' egos, and we've seen it all throughout this game specifically, like with Kaiser and Rin. That is Isagi's quote-unquote magic, and if we look back in the Ubers game, he scored a goal with Hiyori the same way by reawakening Hiyori's ego and believing in their winning vision. And if you don't remember, Ness sees this and can't understand how this was possible, but asks if this is the essence of Isagi Yoichi's magic. The dots are literally connecting here for Isagi to awaken Ness by believing in him, just like how he did with Hiyori or Yukimiya, both players who now know how to use both of their egos because of him. So Ness isn't necessarily going to be manipulated by Isagi the same way Kaiser did, but Isagi will believe in Ness and therefore use him to score his own goal. This is completely different because if Isagi just manipulated Ness the same way Kaiser did, Ness would obviously still choose Kaiser over Isagi, but this is a new path for him and his magic. With Ness restarting from 0 just like everyone else and his ego reawakened, I believe he will hit a pass to someone for a goal. Obviously, Kaiser and Isagi are the only options. Between the two, one of them will get an assist from Ness, and we know that their goal will be based on luck. During the team up chapter, they literally said the last goal will be based on luck. If we go back through BLUELOCK, luck from both the second selection with Rin receiving the ball and the U20 match with Isagi receiving the ball, it can only come to people who puts themselves in those situations. Ego explained it before with all the standing where the bird was, but the whole point is that luck comes to people who put themselves in an opportunity to receive it. And between Kaiser and Isagi, Kaiser doesn't believe in Ness at the moment, and following this theory, Isagi will believe in Ness. Since Isagi believes in him, he will put himself in an opportunity to receive a pass from Ness, scoring a goal based on luck, which contrasts Kaiser, who doesn't believe in Ness. He won't put himself in the same opportunity as Isagi and can't position himself to get lucky. I'd assume it'd go like Ness passes to a random spot based on his reawakened ego saying that's where his magic is leading him, and only Isagi will be there instead of Kaiser, getting the lucky pass, but it was only because he believed in Ness while Kaiser didn't. I think this is a good way to help Ness get over his fixation with Kaiser and develop him individually, especially since the common theme for this match is starting from 0 and giving up your fixations. And he's not being used by Isagi the same way Kaiser used him, so it won't be a repeat of Ness just getting gaslighted and manipulated. Of course, Isagi scoring the final goal means he will win the Neo Egoist League as he has one more goal above Rin in this match. So basically, Isagi used Ness to win the Neo Egoist League, just in another way. Anyways, that's about it for this theory. I really just wanted to get it out quick. Let me know your thoughts on the comments. Did I cook? Do you think it will be some other way? It took a while for this theory, so while you're down there, make sure to hit the subscribe button. I appreciate it so much. And if you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all in the next one.